I'm guessing if you've been streaming or creating content for a long time, you have those things that you know you should do that you just never do. Now maybe it's because you don't like to do it, but it could also be because you don't want to take the time to learn something new. Streaming and content creation are hard work, and sometimes there's just not a lot of time to learn new things. And that's the case for me with Streamerbot. My audience has been asking me to do content about it, but I just didn't want to spend the time to learn it. Boy, was I missing out on a really special tool. Admittedly, I had some valid reasons for not being interested. At the time, it didn't really have proper YouTube integrations, but that's all changed. And now, if you aren't using it, well, you're really missing out on something special that can transform every aspect of your stream and how your audience interacts with you. And did I mention it's totally free? So today I'm going to cover the basics of Streamerbot. We have a lot to get to, so you know what? Let's get to it! There's a link to Streamerbot in the description below if you wanted to download it and follow along. That is the best way to learn. This is going to be the Streamerbot basics here, just to get you started. So we're going to talk about how to install it, how to set it up and connect it to your YouTube account and your OBS. And I'm going to show you how to set up a very simple alert. And of course, I'm also going to give you a little teaser of other things that it can do. So let's jump right in. Here is the Streamerbot page, and all you have to do to actually get it is click on the little Streamerbot right here. And you can see it automatically starts downloading it. And then we're going to just go over into our downloads. And we'll just right click and extract all, and wherever you want to extract it, and then boom, it's extracted. And so you have this folder, and you just run it right out of this folder. So what you're going to want to do is just copy this folder and put it wherever you want your Streamerbot to be. Now you can rename it as well, make it pretty easy to find, all that sort of stuff. I'm going to rename mine. Since I already have a version of it on here that I work with all the time, I want to go ahead and just name it so we can use it for this tutorial. And that's the beautiful thing about Streamerbot. You can just rename the folder, copy it and rename it, and have 5 or 6 different versions of Streamerbot for different streams or for just testing. So we're just going to go ahead and copy that. I'm going to put it in my OBS location. I have a drive just for OBS, and we're going to go ahead and paste it right there. And you can see I have other versions of Streamerbot, but we're going to use this one here. And so the easiest way to get it kicked off, and we can see the executable right there. Well, that's actually the PNG file. This right here is the executable. And so all we have to do is right click and drag it out and drop it, and then we want to create a shortcut here, and I'm just going to rename this one, and I can just double click on it, and it's going to bring up this right here because it's an unsigned program. So we'll just click more info and run anyways, and there we go. Now this, I'm sure to someone who's never used this before, looks extremely complicated, and I get that. But we're going to take it step by step. So the first thing we're going to do is go ahead and connect this with our YouTube. So we're going to go to platforms, and we're going to go to YouTube, and then we're going to click I agree right here. And then we just go over to account right here. And we're going to go ahead and sign into our YouTube account. We can just click select all right here and continue. And so now we are signed in with YouTube, and then we can just click auto connect so we don't have to do that again later. So now we're connected with YouTube, which means we can set up events for chat messages, sponsors, memberships, super chats, broadcast events. You can change these up to be whatever you want. And then of course you're going to have your stream info right here. The other platform we obviously want to set this up for is OBS. So for that, we're going to go to Stream Apps, and we're going to go ahead and right click and add, and we'll just call this OBS. So if we're using OBS that's 28 or newer, it's automatically going to have the WebSocket 5 built in. If we're using something older, then you might still have 4.9. And so 4.9 is going to use port 444. Version 5 is going to use port 4455. We want to auto connect to startup, and we want to reconnect on disconnect. If you have a password, you can put that in right here. Let me show you where you would find a password in your OBS. So in your OBS, you'd go up here to Tools, and then WebSocket Server Settings. You want to make sure that you have enabled your WebSocket, and you can do the system tray or the debugging if you want. Your server port is already there. You can enable authentication, and you just put a password in here. This is where you're going to get your password if you want to use a password. And then this is where you can create actions that happen in Streamerbot when you connect to OBS and when you disconnect. So we'll talk about actions a little later, but if I click OK, because I don't have a password in my OBS, it will connect. Once it's connected, you're going to see it says connected right here, and you're going to be able to go into your OBS and you will see that it shows you connected right here. Now that we're fully connected with our OBS and our YouTube, what can we do with this? It's really easy to install, obviously, and the best part is you can have multiple folders that you can label differently, so you can have one that you just test things in and a separate one that's for your actual live stream when it's ready for prime time. Let's look at setting up some simple alerts and look at other features that you can use. All right, I'm gonna show you how to do a couple of quick, easy alerts that aren't gonna take you much time at all, and you can probably use assets that you already have. So the first thing I'm gonna do is go into OBS, and I'm gonna create a nested scene for my camera. And so we're just gonna add a video capture device. We'll call this one Cam. Click OK, and we have our camera in there. I'm going to go down to the bottom and use a custom audio device, and I am going to select my camera audio. So there we go. Alrighty, and then I'm going to go into my main scene, and I'm going to go ahead and just add this scene. And we're going to add our camera. Boom. So there we go. So the reason why I did this will become blatantly obvious in a minute. But what we're going to use for our alerts is something really simple that you probably already have. So you probably made your own stingers. We're going to use those as alerts in this video to make it really simple and easy for you to repurpose old alerts maybe you don't use anymore for something fun. So what we're going to do is in our nested scene, we're going to click the plus, and we're going to go to media sources, and we're going to add an alert. And let's call this alert 1 and click OK. And we're just going to browse to the location of our alerts. We'll go into stingers here and see what we have. And we'll use this blinds one right here. And let's take a look at what that looks like. There we go. All right. So that'll be 1. And let's add another one, and we'll call this alert 2. I know, really creative names I'm coming up for this stuff. And let's try this one right here. See what it looks like. There we go. All right. Super cool. Very easy. Then the other thing that we're going to do here is we're going to go ahead and click the plus, and we're going to add a text file to this. And we're going to call this alert text. Click OK. And you can go through here and select the fonts. You can test out the size of the text and all that sort of stuff, the color of the text that you want. So we're going to go with Arial Black, which is a pretty big font. I'm going to go and change the color. What we're going to do here is we're going to add a little bit of a background color to this. We'll go with something kind of like a lighter blue. Click OK, and we'll bring up that background opacity a little bit so we can see it. And then we want to select the color for our text, and let's go with a bright yellow. I like that. And I'm going to add an outline to our text, and our outline is going to be black. And how thick do we want our outline? That looks pretty good. All right, so that's what our text is going to look like. We're going to go ahead and just delete it, and there you go. So Now we can basically turn all of the visuals off on here, and we have the makings for our alerts. Now all we have to do is go into Streamerbot and set them up. So here in Streamerbot, we're gonna go into Actions, and we're gonna create our first alert. So we're gonna right click and go to Add, and we'll call this Alert 1. And we're gonna put it in the group Alerts. So now we wanna set this up in sub-actions to tell it what our first alert's gonna be. So we're gonna right click on here, and we're gonna go to OBS, and we're going to go to Sources, and we're going to set a source visibility state. And so then we just have to select our scene, which is NS camera, and we have to select our source, which would be Alert 1, and then we select Visible, and OK. So when this alert happens, it's going to make our Alert 1 visible. So just so this makes sense, that would be the same as us doing this. So that's what that's going to do. Now we can go into our alert and we can see exactly how long it is. And the easiest way to figure out how long something like this is just to go in here. And I know this is blinds alpha. We can go into properties, and then we can go into details. And this tells us that this little alert is going to be 2 seconds long. And that's good to know, because we're going to want to set the actual timers on this. So let's go back in here. So the first thing that's going to happen when Alert 1 is triggered is it's going to make that visible. Then we're going to want to go ahead and right click on here, and we're going to want to go and we're going to want to set a GDI text. Okay, and here's where this can get a little bit complicated. So we have to go and look at what the text fields are. So we're going to make this a super chat alert, and we need to know what we're going to put in here so that the person's name can be displayed and all that fun stuff. Go here and then go to documentation right here, and then from here we're going to go and click on events, and we're trying to get our variables so that we can put them into our text. So we're looking for our YouTube events here, and here we go. So the user that activated the event. So user is the name that we're looking for here. So let's go back in here. We'll right click. We're going to go back to OBS once again. We're going to go to sources, and then we're going to go to GDI text. And so we know that our variable is user if we want to put the user's name in here. So we're going to go ahead and put user, and you want to spell it the same as they do. So if they use caps, all that sort of stuff. Make sure that we've got this sources correct. So we've got our alert text, that's proper. We were in the camera, so we're good. So now we have our username, and we could put, and now we just need an amount. So we'll go down here to events, and we'll find our super chat event. And amount is actually what we need. So we'll just put the amount in here. And of course, we're going to make sure that we spelled that correctly as well, because I am not Mr. Spelling Guy. So let's just copy and paste it. Put it in between the little percent signs here. Now the percent signs just tell this that that's a variable that it should be able to find. So here we go. We've got user, super chatted, amount, and we can just put some exclamation points, and that is what we're going to get. So far we are turning on our alert. We are setting our text so that it says something, and what we're going to do now is we're going to turn that text on so it's visible, because as you remember right here, all this stuff is not visible. Let's go ahead and set our text so it's visible. What we're going to do is right click on here. We're going to go to OBS. We're going to go to sources, and we're going to set the source a visibility state. In this case, we want it to be our alert text, and we want to make it visible. Boom. So we can test this stuff. Let's double click on it and we can test it, and you'll see our text becomes visible. So now we have 3 sub actions. We're turning on our video, which is our alert, this one right here. We are changing our text, and then we are making our text visible. That's what we've got going on here so far. Now, you might be saying, well, it would be super cool if our text was, you know, animated too. Well, that's pretty simple. If you have the move transition, let me show you quickly how you can animate this text. We're going to go and right click on NS camera, and we're going to go to filters. And what we're going to do is we're going to click the plus, and we're going to go to move source. And let's call this source big. Yeah. Alrighty, and what I want to do here is set our source, which is our alert text. And for now, I just want to get the transform, because it's in its biggest form right here the way we see it. That's how we want to see it at the main part of our actual animation. So we're going to get the transform right here, and for now, that's good. We have everything we need. So we're going to create a new one, and we're going to select move source, and we're going to call this one start. And we'll click OK. And what we're going to do now is we're going to go over here and we're going to modify our text. So we're going to go ahead and shrink it down. Shrink it down. And make it small. Then I'm going to right click on that text and I'm going to go to transform, and I'm going to center horizontally. And then what I'm going to do here is under the start, we're going to select the actual alert text right here, and we're going to get that transform. So now when we make big, big, and we can make start, start, you can see we've got some movement. So we want start above big, so we're just going to push that arrow and go up. And then what we're going to do is we're going to duplicate start. So I'm going to duplicate this, and we'll call this end. And boom. So now we've got start, big, end. Pretty simple. Now we don't know how long this is going to last because we didn't actually figure out how long this alert is. So for start, the duration is 300 milliseconds. That's fine. The start delay is 0 milliseconds. That's exactly what we want. So we're all set on the start, and we're going to go with the next move is going to be big. Cool. So we can go ahead and save that one. Basically, we don't have to save it. It's already saved. So start is going to go to big, then big is going to go to end. So we'll select big, we'll go to next move, end. Now, here's the thing. How long do we want big to last? Well, I believe this little transition is about 2 seconds. So in order to set up a delay so that it leaves big on the screen for around 2 seconds, we're going to go ahead and set our millisecond start delay on end to, let's go with 1800. Alright, so now we've got a string. If we click start, it's going to move right along that string. So we click there, boom, it comes up, and it shrinks down. So that is the basics for a simple movement that can add interest to your text for your alert. And it didn't cost anything either. So all we have to do now is go back into Streamerbot. So in order to kick this off, we're going to right click, we're going to go to OBS, and we're going to go to scenes, and we're going to go to set scene filter state. And this is pretty simple. We've got our NS camera, then we need to decide on the filter state that we want. In this case, start, and we want to make start visible. And it's pretty simple. We can test this, and you'll see it going in the background there. And we know it just kicks off an event. So boom. Now we've got it's setting us to visible for our alert. We're setting the text so it has our alert name and our alert amount. Then we are setting the visibility status on the text so we can see it. Then we're kicking off the animation on the text. Now all we have to do is set the delay stuff so that it is on screen as long as we want it to and off screen when it's finished. So we're going to go ahead and right click. We're going to go to core and we're going to add a delay. And I know this is about 2 seconds long, so I'm just going to go ahead and put a delay of 2000 milliseconds. So then all we really need to do is make all this stuff in reverse. So we're going to go ahead and right click on here and we are going to duplicate the action to turn on our alert, and we're going to go ahead and make it hidden. And then we don't need to change the text. So we want to go ahead and just change the text visibility. So we're going to go ahead and duplicate that right here. And we're going to make the text hidden. So it's going to hide the text afterwards. And then everything is reset. We're good to go. So how do we test something like this? Because it's a little tough, honestly, with YouTube to test this stuff. YouTube doesn't give you any way to go in there and click a button to test it. So unfortunately, we're not going to be able to test the username and amount. I know it works because I've done it in the past, and if you set yours up this way, yours will work too. However, it's difficult to test it, and I know that faith is hard. You know, trust but verify and all that stuff. But for this case, you're going to have to trust me. If you get the right environmental variables, they're going to work. So let's go and I'll show you how you can test this. The easiest way to do it is in voice control, and I already set one up, but we'll delete that one. And then what we're going to do is right click, go to add, and we're going to call this one trigger, and our command is going to be alert exact. And what we want this to do is we want this to kick off alert 1, and there we go. So now we have an action programmed in here. We have to go into settings, and you want to make sure right here that you have your microphone selected, and then auto start, and then click start listening so that it's listening so that you can use the voice control. So now we have voice control that will kick this off so we can kind of test it to see how it looks. All we have to do is say alert, alert. And there we go. It works pretty well. Now you can mess around with the timing. Alert. So we can see the text comes on, stays on maybe a little bit longer than we'd like. We can mess around with that in 2 different ways. We can go into our filters right here, and we can adjust the ending so it moves up a little bit. Right now it is at 1800. Let's try 1500 and alert. Yep, it's still waiting too long to shrink. So we'll go in here and we'll go to filters and we'll go to end and we'll try 1200. Alert. And that's pretty close. That's pretty close. Probably what I would do is go into the alert, go into properties, and just creep it down a little bit to make it go a little more reasonable. Alert. And there we go. It's almost simultaneous. There are a bunch of different ways that we could fix that. We could go in and readjust our delay, or we can do what I just did, which is adjust the speed a little bit on the actual transition. So now we can set up one for our other transition, but this is really easy. We can right click and we could go to duplicate right here. All we have to do is double click and we'll call it alert 2 and click OK. And so now we have a direct copy, but we want to change this from alert 1 to alert 2. We can use the exact same text, so we don't have to change any of that, assuming that that text is in the location that we want it. If we wanted the text in a different location, or if we wanted a different animation, then we can just create another text for alert 2 as well. So now we're turning it on and we're turning it off. Now I know this one has a slightly different time base on it. So this one is longer than the other one. We'll go in here to our voice control and we're going to double click on this and we're going to set it to kick off alert 2 instead of alert 1. And Now we can just say alert. So you could see that it's getting cut off too early by our actions right here. So we're gonna change this up and we're gonna go with 4,000. And boom. And let's try it again. Alert. And there we go. So you may be asking yourself, why did we create 2 alerts? Well, the last thing we have to do is set these up to trigger when we actually get a super chat. So to do that, we're going to go into platforms and we're going to select YouTube and we're going to select our super events. And right here we have super chat events. So we have 2 different ones. So let's add a range. Let's say one goes from 0 to 19.99. So anything under 20 bucks is going to get 1. And basically we'll just select our sub action 1. And so anything that is from 0 to $19.99 is going to kick off alert 1. And then let's go 20 to 1,000 just to cover all of our bases. Click add, and then that is going to get alert 2. So now if we select 0 to 19, you get alert 1. You select 0 to 20 to 1,000, you get alert 2. So you can see that it's actually changing. So now when we get $0 to $19, it's going to kick off alert 1 right here. And when you get anything above 20 bucks, it's going to kick off alert 2. And it's all set up and ready to go. You can see there are a lot of other events that you could program here, from chat messages or memberships or broadcast events. Like when you're starting your stream or ending your stream, you can kick off events that are going to happen, all that kind of stuff. So that's you can obviously make these as complicated as you want. There are so many actions. You can do if-then statements. So if we go here to core, we can go to logic and we can create if-then statements that say, if you're not on this scene, don't do this action. If you're on this scene, do this action. So basically what that means is you can create alerts specific to each scene that you're on. I mean, that's just awesome. So the one thing I promised I would explain is, why did we do all of this in a nested scene? Well, if I go into my main scene right here, you can see it looks exactly the same. But, you know, if I move it around, it's not going to change. So let's say that I ended up shrinking this camera up to use it in another scene. Well, all those alerts are still going to be active. So if I use the keyword alert, you can see those alerts will still happen on that camera, which is super cool. It will follow it anywhere it goes. So if I make it bigger or smaller or whatever I do, all of the things that I put in that nested scene are always going to happen to this camera. Unless, of course, I go into Streamerbot and I say you got to be on this scene or whatever. But for the most part, this is how it's going to work, and it works very, very well to put all of this stuff in a nested scene so that when you get into your main scene, well, I just have the nested camera and I move everything, it moves together. So that's kind of why you use nested scenes. It's what makes nested scenes so helpful for this. Sure, could I add more to this scene? I could easily add more assets and then control them in Streamerbot in one way or another. If I wanted to add special flares for each alert, depending upon which scene I was on, I could easily do that. And that is what makes Streamerbot so ridiculously powerful. There is so much that you can do with Streamerbot, and it's all totally free. If there are features like a YouTube chat point system or other audience integrated effects that you want to know more about, let me know in the comments. Now, the stingers I used in this video for the alerts are really simple to create, and I actually did a video on how to create those, totally free. So if you want to create these stingers to use as alerts or maybe as stingers, you should check this video out as well. And if you're always looking for tools, tips, and tricks to help make you a better live streamer or YouTuber, subscribe to the channel. My name is Michael Feyrer Jr. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day, and I'll see you in the next one.